Francesca.
I'm Victoria.
I'm Laura.
And welcome to Novel Nights. Hi everyone, welcome to Novel Hour. Okay, welcome to Novel Hour. We are no longer doing Novel Nights because we are gathering now every Thursday at 12 noon Eastern Time, 12 noon New York time. So just in case you missed the news and you're wondering what is this live alert going out, we are switching times. So we hope you'll join us every Thursday again at 12 noon Eastern Time, 12 noon New York time, depending where you are. Today, we're really excited to share with you all some epic love stories. That's the theme for today. We're sharing some epic love story books. As always, you're going to get a wide variety. And next week, we'll share the friendship stories. I just want to squeeze that in there really early. So we're not just focusing on, relationship, romantic kind of love. We also have some friendship stuff planned too. But before we jump into the books and to give you all time to come in, because we'd love to hear from you in the chat. So if you're watching us live, let us know. And of course, I'm going to shout out Erin. Hi, Erin. So nice to have you join us for lunch. Okay, this is a lunchtime live. Listen, if you're working from home, if you're in the cubicle, if you're busy but you just need that break, you need to break up your day, we get it, because I listen to podcasts. I know we all here do that the same. So we're so happy to have you here joining us for lunch. And again, we're going to be talking epic love stories. But before we get into it, Laura, what's been going on with you? What's new? Let's just give folks time to pop in and let's update the ones who are here.
So the good news is after 20 years without a car and 3 years living in Tampa without a car, which is another OP, I actually own a car, except the car's in shop. So long story short, we're going to work on that, but I do have a car. I've been practicing driving and it's been fun. It's like a newfound freedom. So I am loving it. I just discovered how to listen to audiobooks in the car. I know it's not brand new, but as someone who had a 1999 Jetta as my last car, this is brand new information. So Bluetooth, I'm like, what is this? So yeah.
Yes, new car, new vibes. I'm loving it. Fran, what's new with you?
Well, first of all, watch out for my internet because it keeps kicking me out. So I don't know. Hopefully I can stay. Also, Laura, on your car situation, some warnings when it comes to listening to audiobooks in the car. Yeah. People outside of your car can hear it.
Okay.
So depending what book you're listening to, if you are parked somewhere or you're at the light, they can hear that.
Okay.
And also when somebody's getting in the car with you, it will pair automatically and it will tend to start automatically where you left off your audiobook. So watch out for that too.
Oh my gosh, I'm planning to use Audible, and Audible tends to be my indie spicy romance, so it's gonna be like a joy. Like we're just
just keep that in mind.
On Florida Highway 75, and she's getting it on. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah. But other than that, anything new? I have been actually, for the most part, brace free on my ankle injury first week. So far, everything's working out well. So that's like my big news for the week. I'm excited. I'm like, I can come down the stairs like semi-normal. So
yes. No, that's really good. That's really good. In my case, I have books on my shelves, everyone. I have books on my shelves, though I have to say, I found myself getting a bit paralyzed. I actually think I might write about this on Substack, but I found myself really paralyzed. I was taking the books out little by little. I was trying to organize them and get them on the shelves. But I have to tell you, my house has been a dumpster fire since prepping for shelf install and then just trying to get the house back together. Plus, we have other projects we're in the middle of. So the house was a bit of a mess. I found myself paralyzed, and my husband just decided, you know what? We are going to come in here. And he and the boys just busted open the boxes and they just started chucking books on the shelves. That's what I'm going to call it, probably in Substack. They were just chucking books on the shelves. And even though I don't have an idea where everything is, like my important books, I know where they are. But for right now, this is my mess. I'm grateful though, because like I said, I was paralyzed. So my biggest win is that my hallway and my room is free of boxes. I have all my books chucked on the shelves, and believe it or not, every single book fit on all the shelves. We were worried that we might not have enough room, so that's my biggest win. I will eventually organize them, and we'll do the whole tour. But again, subscribe to subscribe to Substack. Shameless plug, because I'll be talking more there. But y'all can see I have books. So those are my wins for the week. You heard all wins. So again, if you're watching us live and you're just joining us, welcome. We are going to be sharing some book recommendations, epic love stories, but we're just starting, the live with sharing all wins. So share your wins with us in the comments as well. If you're watching the replay crew, we'd love to hear from you as well. Share your wins with us. Now we're going to jump straight into the books. So Francesca is going to hop off, Laura is going to hop off, and then we are going to get into all book recommendations. I'm going first. I'm going to be sharing some classic love stories. These are love stories I just kind of feel like everyone needs to read at a certain point. I do have a video separately on the channel where I talk about toxic love stories, okay? Because not all love stories are happy and butterflies and rainbows and super positive. But when it comes to epic love stories, I think, and classics, by the way, I think I have to start with Pride and Prejudice. You have to. I kind of think it's required. Elizabeth Bennet, Mr. Darcy, they're just literary icons. Their romance is legendary. But also, I want us to be realistic and just face facts that this love story almost didn't happen, right? Elizabeth, or heroine, is just very sharp-witted. I love that about her, fiercely independent. And she's not about to fall in love or get in a relationship with this really snobbish kind of guy. Mr. Darcy, on the other hand, is, just the opposite, very cold, aloof, and just very, and let's be real, he's rude. I think he's rude, okay? But I think that's also where the magic of this love story begins, the fact that they're completely opposite. And also just realizing that sometimes the person that challenges you the most might just be someone who can understand you the best. We see Elizabeth misjudging Darcy, but Darcy also misjudges Elizabeth. So this is more of a slow burn relationship, okay? Using the modern term, slow burn, full of misunderstandings. And of course, like the title suggests, pride really getting in the way. But I think when we boil it down and we see Darcy kind of coming off of his high horse, really humbling himself, and Elizabeth letting go of her, again, going back to the title, prejudices, we see a romance that's actually built on mutual respect, admiration, and of course, love. So if you want a classic that is banter-filled, tension, but we'll just leave you with a full heart at the end. Again, you have to read Pride and Prejudice. If you haven't already, I do think it's one of those books you should definitely read. All right, continuing in the classic canon, of course, another book I think you should read is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. This one isn't just a love story. I actually feel it's more about self-worth and independence and choosing a love that really doesn't what's that word, belittle you and diminish you. So we have our main character, Jane. She's had a really hard life, just really horrible, lots of neglect, cruelty, and, she's lonely. And she knows that growing up, if she's going to survive in this world, she has to rely on herself. Hence, just being super independent. Now she meets Mr. Rochester. He is mysterious and full of secrets and all the things. And look, there is a problem, right? And this is a bit toxic, because that's the thing with classic love stories. They're not always straightforward. And if you want to say it's a happily ever after, fine. But he's toxic, man, right? He's already married. And, the what do they call it? The elephant in the room. That's the analogy I was trying to find. The elephant in the room is that his wife, right? Because remember, I was saying he's married, was literally locked in the attic. Now she does something, I don't want to spoil it for you all, but she does something, it ends up in a death. And of course, at the end, Jane has a choice. And of course, she decides to get together with Mr. Rochester. I highly debate this one. I said this was a toxic love story, and my sister is constantly debating me and saying, no, their relationship is one of mutual respect as well, and devotion and stuff like that. I don't know. This one is up for debate. I really would love to hear your opinion. So again, let me know your thoughts in the comments. But again, I said what I said. I think to some degree it's very, very toxic. But anyway, it's an epic love story. The next epic love story I wanted to share with you all is what I consider to be the OG rom-com. And the OG rom-com for me is Much Ado About Nothing by William Shakespeare. So I know we tend to focus on Shakespeare writing lots of tragic love stories. And, the reality is he has written just, that's all, lots of tragedy. However, I do think this is the OG rom-com. We meet Beatrice and Benedict, and I think they are the OG rom-com couple. Beatrice is very sharp-tongued, she's not going to be tied down by a man. But Benedict is also equally witty, but he's also stubborn, and he's swearing off being married at all. So it's really interesting seeing what happens when two people who claim to hate each other keep finding themselves drawn together. So in a way, I kind of feel like this is another OG enemies to lovers romance as well, because we see their friends having to trick them into realizing, hey, you're actually in love. That's really what this is. So there's lots of banter in this one, lots of misunderstandings, lots of drama, tension, and all that. But I think, again, I love the enemies to lovers element, but we also see lots of just partnership and growing respect for each other, and that they're not going to change themselves for each other. They just admit that, hey, us being different can actually make life more fun and interesting and playful. So anyway, this one is very playful. I think, this is one of those Shakespeare works that does give you light and playful to some degree. We do get that happy ending. And again, OG rom-com, OG enemies to lovers is Much Ado About Nothing by William Shakespeare. Okay, then I'm going back to Jane Austen, because Jane Austen is essentially the mom of romance. The one book I don't talk about often enough, because I think I talk a lot about Emma, because I do love Emma. I also love Northanger Abbey, but I want to throw Persuasion into the mix, because I feel that some love stories aren't about falling in love for the first time. They're about finding your way back to the one that got away, right? So that's kind of essentially the theme in this one, the one that got away. So we meet Anne in this one, and Captain Wentworth, they were young, they were in love and ready to spend their lives together, but Anne was persuaded to turn him down, because he wasn't wealthy enough. He wasn't, successful, have the right social standing and status kind of thing. And she was just convinced that, hey, she had to be really practical about who she's going to marry. So anyway, fast forward to, I don't remember how many years later. I'm just going on a limb and say maybe 8 to 10. He's now successful, Wentworth, very successful, very confident. And he's actually very much not over Anne. Now, Anne is filled with lots of regret, and she's realizing that, hey, you know what? She never really stopped loving the guy. But this isn't a story, because I know some classics tend to be this way. This isn't a story about just kind of like wallowing in the past. It really is about second chances. So, essentially it's proving that, you know what? Maybe time changes things, and time sometimes makes things better. And in this one, I have to say, one of the things that stands out very much in Persuasion to me is, I'm just going to call it the letter, because if you've read this book and you've read the letter, you know what I mean. Like Wentworth's declaration of love, I feel, is a really grand gesture. It's just one of the most romantic moments, I feel, in classic literature anyway. So if you want something, like second chances and people coming back together, I think this is one of the ultimate second chance romances. Okay, and the last book I'm going to share with you is a personal favorite. It's a comfort read of mine. I do revisit this one more often than I think most of the books I've shared so far. Is actually A Room with a View by E.M. Forster. Now, I love the setting in this one. So let me just first say that I think the armchair traveling is wonderful, and I love just kind of being drawn back to this one. But as it relates to the love story, I'm going to say this one focuses on love isn't just about who you fall in love with, if that makes sense. It's more about if you are brave enough to step outside your comfort zone, step outside of society's standards, and be brave enough to actually choose the person you love. Because it's one thing to love a person, but not act on it. So, anyways, in this one, we meet our main character, Lucy. Love Lucy dearly. Lucy is young, she's very well mannered, and she's engaged to a man who makes sense by societal standards and, on paper. He checks the boxes of all the things. But then she meets this man called George. Now, George is a more free spirited kind of person, and George challenges everything she knows about life, herself, and even what is expected of her as a woman. So just everything she's ever been told about how a woman should live and what she should do, he challenges that. However, she gets really afraid. She's really afraid of what will people say. First off, if she calls off her engagement, but more importantly, goes off with a man like George. I don't want to spoil it by getting too much into George, but trust me, there is stuff about George. Now, she tries to deny her feelings, and she's trying to focus on the fact that, hey, being secure in a marriage is more important, and instead of just following her feelings. But of course it doesn't go away, even though she tries to ignore it. And then finally she lets herself just say, hey, I'm going to choose the life that makes me happy and feel more alive, and just breaking free from all expectations. So anyway, this one is about choosing your happiness and your joy over what society says, and what your family and everyone else has an opinion on, and your duty to your family, because that also comes up as well. And it's just really, really, really beautiful. So those are my classic books that I feel like you should visit at least once in your lifetime as it relates to love stories. If you're looking for love stories, I think these are top of the list. I would love to hear what you all think, so let me know in the comments if you're watching live. Let me know if you felt some of these were toxic, like the one I said. My sister and I were debating very recently because she watched my toxic toxic couples. I was just like, it's not toxic.
Yes, it is.
So I'm like, listen, man, that is toxic as hell. The elephant in the room is the man's wife locked up in the room. But I'd love to hear what are some of your favorite classic love stories as well. Of course, we have to shout out Erin before I even ask Fran and Laura as well. Also, thank you. Yes, it was a big win to have all the books fit on the shelf, even though, like I said, my husband just chucked them on there, but we will sort them out eventually. You love that cover of Pride and Prejudice. Yes, it's actually my favorite. I sought out that cover to share with you all today. I gifted myself that edition this past Christmas. But I also love the fact that you are mentioning that you used to teach that novel as well. I think I know that plain and gray one you're also talking about. Thank you for co-signing, Mr. Rochester. Okay. But I do agree. We would take him over Heathcliff. Much Ado is definitely, in my opinion, the OG rom-com. It's just so funny, so funny, so funny. And oh my gosh, that letter. Yes, everyone, if you want an epic love story letter, you have to go and read Persuasion. You have to. I feel there is no other declaration. There is none in classic literature, I feel, that measure up. If you feel there is a letter out there that measures up, I mean, do tell, because I can't think of anything else. So my opinion. And clearly Erin agrees with me too. So see, I have company. Come for us. Come for us. What did y'all think though?
I have to co-sign your toxic relationship though with Jane Eyre. I actually have never heard somebody question that. So your sister's take is interesting.
Yes. It's like, well, I said, look, I'll include it because it's toxic. So, and look, here's a reality. Not all relationships are straightforward. We have some toxic people walking around in these streets. So, so it's worth the mention.
And they're just as epic. Just to have a toxic relationship is just as epic as a healthy, low angsty rom-com. That doesn't for like we're equal opportunity. We live in different states.
We do.
Life is not black or white.
Life is not black and white. Don't ask me to pick a side because I'm gonna justify some other stuff, and then I'm like, wait, I see it over. I see that side, but I see that side too.
Yeah.
But anyways, if you are just joining us, welcome. We are talking about some epic love stories in literature. I just shared my five, their classics base, but of course, my good friends here are going to take us into the contemporary world. Laura is up next. Laura will be sharing her book recommendations, and I can't wait to hear what they're about.
Well, today I'm talking about Hollywood romances, but I'm also doing backlist titles so you can easily borrow them from the library. So these are older titles. They might have new books coming out in a couple in this year, but they are older titles so you can get started. So easily borrow. If you're looking for libraries, if your library doesn't have a good selection, I would suggest going to physical books. You go to a physical library and look for selections. But if you're looking for ebooks, you look at non-resident library cards. So you can pay for a fee. I do have a list of tried and true ones that I actually trust and that I pay for on my Substack. So if you're looking for new library options, I'd be more than happy to share those. But let's get to the recommendations. So they're all Hollywood, normie, sometimes Hollywood romances. So I have to say I love a good celebrity romance. And so we're going to start with Stars in Her Eyes by Casey Calendar. So this one is like, if you're like following It Ends With Us, the two co-stars basically hate each other and propose it. This is kind of like the similar vibe. So, Stars in Her Eyes, we got a Hollywood bad boy who basically complained about the bad acting of the up and coming actor who is also performing the same movie. And so they did some bad media, and of course, Hollywood was like, oh no, we need to fix this. And we're going to have a PR relationship. So we got a fake relationship between the Hollywood bad boy and the up and coming actor, and they have to also overcome the issues that he talked shit about him, about his acting. And then also, like, they might have some real feelings because that's what happens in romance. It may not happen in real life, but in romance, it always leads to real feelings and a happily ever after. The audiobook is excellent. So if you're looking for audiobook, I think it's a full cast audio. It's an excellent audiobook to listen to, but it also, you can do this. And this one actually has more like sensitive subjects, like mental health and self-doubt and healing. It's more gritty than just a regular rom-com. So I would say this is like contemporary romance. But that Stars in Her Eyes by Casey Calendar. The next one is For Her Consideration by Amy Spalding. So this is a Hollywood. I love the series. There's 4 books in the series, and I think she's still writing more. It's a queer Hollywood romance. So for Her Consideration, we have Nina, who wanted to be a teen writer, but she had to give up her dream. And so she works at an agency ghostwriting emails from celebrities. So she actually, if you email a celebrity, it's somebody in the agency, her agent is actually replying you back. So it's not a celebrity because they don't have time to email people. So this up and coming actor who is like a gay icon is signed up for a big break and sign up to the agent, and the agent's like, oh no, we got a ghostwriter to you, and she's like, wait, a ghostwriter is going to write my emails? Like, what is going on? And so she actually asked Nina to kind of like shadow her, and so she can find her voice and feelings occur. And there's like a found family. It's for LA. There's an aunt who lives in a assisted living facility, and it's just like fun. They're all like living their life and just enjoying. So it's very LA, very fun. Amy lives in LA, so you get the real LA scene. Because I don't know about you, but I hate when you're writing big cities and there's a nuance about the city, culture about the city, and that outsiders don't get it. It's my biggest pet peeve when I read New York books by non-New Yorkers and they just don't get it. They're like, we're going to go to Olive Garden Times Square. Please do not go there. So I think there's like some nuances here about being in LA and like what it looks like. So for Her Consideration, there's 4 books in the series, so you can binge them. They're excellent books. They're queer. They're fun. They're rom-coms. And who knew you can have a ghostwriter to send you emails? You're celebrities just like us. So that's For Her Consideration by Amy Spalding. Now we're going to go to Scandalized by Ivy Owens. So Scandalized is actually written by Lauren Billings, who is the Lauren of Christina Lauren. So this is her debut solo book that she came up. If you know Lauren, you know that she's obsessed with K-dramas. And so this book features a K-drama actor, like well-known actor outside of New York, outside of the US, like everywhere else he's well-known. And then who happens to be the heroine's older brother, former best friend, childhood best friend. And so they had a one-night stand, The heroine is an investigative journalist, which is kind of like she's investigating some like Hollywood London story, and somehow they intersect this one night stand that she had with this guy and this story. And so there's like the investigative journalism part of it. There's some mentions of like content warnings for that, and then this like hot, heated, sexy times. And also the idea of like what it means to be with a famous actor, and in just being a normal person, because she's not famous for the sake of being famous. So it's a fun one. There's like forbiddenness. They're not supposed to be together. They're keeping things in secret. They're building stuff, but they also have the history of like they knew each other before he was famous, and it's just fun. It's sexy. It's spicy. It's just like a good romp to read. So that's Scandalized. There are some trigger warnings, so just like look for them. But I found it lighter for the trigger warnings that were presented, how it's presented too. So, all right. So the next book is How to Fake It in Hollywood. So we got another PR relationship. And so I read the Valentine books. I read them back to back a couple years ago, and I thought this was like Ben Affleck fan fiction, but it's not. It's not based on Ben Affleck, but it's kind of like that idea, or Matt Damon, all these old has-been. So in this case, How to Fake in Hollywood, the actor has been a famous actor. I think he won an Oscar, but then he had some issues with alcoholism, like some addiction issues, and he has faded away. And he wants to do a fresh start. He wants to get back on track and get to Hollywood because he needs money. And the actress is an up and coming. She's a teen star. She's trying to get serious roles. And so their agents, their PR, actually work together to build this PR relationship, like how to have a PR relationship, so they can actually bounce back and collaborate and get more famous and get better roles and be taken more seriously. So they start a PR relationship, and he doesn't want to. She's like, I just want to get to know you. And he's like grumpy, but somehow they're a slow burn. He started building feelings for her. She started building feelings for him. And it's all come together. They have feelings. They fake dating with their feelings. And there's some scandals. There's some issues. It's very Hollywood. So this one's a fun one. If you love PR relationships, if you love blind items, if you're like a celebrity blind item person, this book is kind of like for you. It's just like a fun PR, turn on. We got real feelings too. So the next book is Funny You Should Ask by Alyssa Sussman. Again, I thought it was Ben Affleck, but the reality is probably Chris Evans in this book. This is actually loosely based on an article that happened about 5 to 10 years ago, where a journalist has spent a weekend with Chris Evans, I think it is, and we're just trying to figure out, did they hook up or not? And so in this case, she's a journalist, celebrity journalist, and he is an up and coming actor. They spent a weekend together 10 years ago. They actually do hook up. He takes her to her premiere. They do have like this whirlwind of a weekend, and article comes out and it's like, takes them to the next level, and they stop talking to each other. And so I think she's in a different space, and she's like coming back to it. She's asked to write a follow-up article. And so he actually has some alcohol issues, and so he's like sober, and he has changed. And so they had to revisit that encounter years ago, and then realize like, are we interested? Are we ready to go? She had a different partner. She got married. She was in LA. She moved to New York, and all the different things. And now they're coming back together. It's a fun one. I really like Elisa's writing. Like, I do have an interview and the podcast with her and talk about this book. So if you want to hear from her book recommendations as well as her take on what she ended up writing, what a funny story is, like Elisa used to write Kindle Limited books before she got this book. So, and she wrote those books. So I don't know what they are, but that's her star. So it's like, you get the sense of like, if you look at like a good Kindle Limited book, this is kind of like a sense of like, maybe this is a similar vibe for it, but this is her first traditional published as an adult rom-com. And she does have a book coming out this year. The next one is You Had Me at Ola by Alexis Zaria. This is like a tried and true for Latinx reading. It's just Latinx romance. We have Jasmine Lin, who's a soap star. She's getting her big break for Netflix to do a bilingual rom com, which is kind of like a telenovela. And her co-actor, her co-lead is a telenovela star from Puerto Rico, and he actually lives in Puerto Rico, which is like, and it's actually really telling like the specifics of Puerto Rico representation of the island because the island is different from the U.S. And so we get these two actors. He wants to be taken seriously. He needs some money. He needs a big break. The little stars don't make a lot of money, and she wants a big break. She wants to be taken seriously. She wants to do this, and they have like a he's keeping a secret, and he's trying to they have chemistry and they have an attraction, but they can't act on it, and so they have to keep things in secret. And the rehearsals starting up. It's a sex positive, like really fun rom com to go to. The follow-up books are non-celebrities, or it's a series of primas by Power. So she has two more books. They're from her cousins. They have the cousins group chat. The last book in the series is coming out this year, and I think it's Alone Came Amor. So, and I'm actually really excited for that one. So, yeah, so that's Muhammad Ola. And if you're looking for other Alexis Zara's books, I would also suggest Take the Lead if you like Dancing with the Stars. That series is basically a professional dancer and a reality TV show, rugged reality TV show artist who does survival in Alaska, and they have to dance together with celebrity Dancing with the Stars, and so that's like a fun thing to do. So those are some of the books from Alexis Saria, and the final book that I want to recommend is Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade, and that is um, think about Game of Thrones, think about the main actor of Game of Thrones, who also happens to write fan fiction about the show. And Lee does cosplay for the Game of Thrones show, and she also writes fan fiction. And it's kind of like You Got Mail, their hidden identity. They've been talking for some time, but they don't know. And he is super famous, and because she's really well known to cosplay for the show, he asked her to go on a date with him, and he also knows her identity. So it's really fun. It's really rompy. There's also three other books in the series, so you can actually binge them. The series is complete. So you get one of the Game of Thrones, which I actually love. It's the third book in the series where they're isolated on an island and they have to kind of like get together, and they don't want to get together, and it's so good. So and then the second one is it's an assistant who he actually made a mistake, like a big blunder, and so he has someone who babysit him, and so it's so good. So this series is just like a fun celebrity rom com, and like if you're looking for the Game of Thrones stuff. So those are the recommendations.
Yay! I loved the last set of books that you shared, I read. So, like all of that last
Yeah.
set from How to Fake It in Hollywood, I absolutely love that one. I think I recommended that the year that came out in the summer guide. Funny You Should Ask is fun. You Had Me at Ola, I also loved. I recommended that in a guide too. And spoiler alert, I was just like, books, 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 books. So I did not read. You said it was one of the Christina Lauren writers.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't even
Right.
know. I didn't
But
even know there were solo books out there in the universe. And then Case and Calendar, didn't read that
Mhm.
one, so that's interesting. But I have to say, for her consideration, was the one I was like, okay, I'd probably add that one to my TBR ASAP.
I think you should definitely add. Like Amy Spalding has like a great book. If you're looking for friendships, there's a YA book where we used to be friends about a talk like a friendship breakup. So this is like one of those pandemic projects that she was like, I had a book on submission. I needed to write something else.
Mhm.
Let me
Mhm.
just write something fun, and then I just wrote a queer rom com set in Hollywood. And I'm like, I am here for it.
Hey, awesome.
Fun.
All right. If you are just joining us live, welcome, welcome, welcome to Novel Hour Live. If you're usually attending our live shows and you got the notification, you're wondering what's happening, we are now doing a lunchtime show. Okay. So if you work from home, if you're in the cubicle, Hopefully, we can provide a little bit of a distraction. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell your boss. But we need those breaks in the day. So hopefully we can provide that for you. But today specifically, we are talking about epic love stories. We're sharing all those big love stories. I shared some classic love stories. So if you're just joining us, you're going to have to go rewind to the beginning. I shared 5 classic love stories with, some problematic, questionable ones in there as well. And the OG rom-com, in my opinion, the epic letter as well. So you can listen to those and then share your thoughts in the comments. And Laura just shared some wonderful Hollywood romances. I read half of them and they're great. And I'm really excited to hear about the books Francesca is going to share next. So we're kicking off Laura, then myself. And yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, so today I actually decided to go for Valentine's theme just because we're doing romance this week and we're doing friendship next week. So you guys are going to get some fun books that most of them are actually novellas. So they're going to be quick. They're going to have the vibes of the holiday season. So you can pick them up and read them this week, next week. They're perfect for right now. Some are contemporary and some are paranormal. And for the most part, they're all available right now with like a couple of exceptions. So I'm going to start actually with the new releases. And the first one is The Kiss Lottery by Ilsa Madden Mills. So this one is so much fun. It actually comes out February 11th, and it will be available on Kindle Unlimited, both on ebook and audiobook. So you can listen as well. I actually listened to the audiobook, which was really good as well. And this one is really fun. I am a fan of Ilsa Madden Mills. Her contemporaries are always kind of really cute. They have lovable characters. They're really addictive. So it's really, really fun. This one in particular is about 2 childhood best friends, so Beckett and Everly. And they were best friends growing up through teenage. And she actually had a huge crush on him. And she never acted on it. He never acted on it either, but they were always together. And she ends up dating his best friend in high school. And she had decided that she was going to do something to get his attention. And she accidentally, quote unquote, leaves her diary out for a friend to find. And this diary goes everywhere. Everybody in the school knows that she has a crush on him, but it kind of implied that she was cheating on her boyfriend with him in a way. And that all came out right before the big game of the season, which made them lose the game, which, in a small town, that's like a big no-no. So that made her kind of like a pariah in the town. And after high school, she just left. She never looked back. She doesn't want anything else to do with it. And that also ruined her relationship with Beckett. So, he kind of took the side of telling his friend that he never did anything and nothing ever happened. So she felt like he was just not interested. So she's gone on to have her career. She is actually she actually has a podcast. And now randomly she gets an invitation to come back to the small town to participate in the Kiss Lottery, which is this event that they do all the time in their small town. And she doesn't know who sent it to her, but she decides that she's going to make content out of it. So she goes back to the small town and she's going to create podcast episodes around the Kiss Lottery and around the town and interview people and all of that stuff. But she's, of course, wary of seeing everybody again. Beckett has now become a very popular author, and he actually made her a villain in one of his books. So she's not really looking forward to interacting with him. But this is just basically them reconnecting, kind of getting that second chance at love that never really happened. And it is obviously the Kiss Lottery is centered around the holiday of Valentine's Day, so that the setting is there. It is really cute, really adorable, and is such a fast, sweet read. A little bit of spice as well. So really fun. The second book is a super short novella, and it's The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez. This one comes out March 1st, but if you are a Amazon First Reads, like if that's available to you, you can actually get it now. So that is available for you if you have that. And it is really short, but it's really fun as well. So in this one, we have 2 neighbors, and the heroine has basically self-isolated herself in her apartment because she has a stalker. So she's had this stalker. She's changed different apartments because he keeps finding her. So now she's living here. She's working from home. So she's, she doesn't talk to anybody hardly and whatever. And the neighbor is somebody that she meets after the stairs in the apartment building collapse. And they get trapped basically on this second floor where they both live because there's no way that their building can get any of that fixed. So they're basically stuck there until that happens. And it's basically them kind of getting to know each other. He is also he has trust issues. He's kind of like a mountain man, but he's freshly divorced. So he has his own issues as well. So they both have some trust things to get through, but they are forced forced proximity. They're forced there to have to connect and like get to know each other. And it was just a really fun relationship that develops between the two of them, how they go into each other's apartments and this and that, and they get to know each other. So it's a really fun Valentine's Day theme as well, and it does have kind of an empowering message in the end when it comes to the heroine, also like on a personal note. So I really enjoyed it. The third book is my paranormal pick, and it's Petty Cupid by Sarah Blue. This is part of its book one in the Love on the Veil in the Veil series. And the series actually just touches on different holidays. So this is the Valentine's Day paranormal in that series. And it's basically a Cupid romance book, which I think it's so fun. I have read a couple of these in my days, so I'm excited to be reading this one. And actually, if you are participating in our League of Lusty Ladies book club, this is the bonus romance pick for February. So if you come and read it, you can come to the live show and discuss it. That's going to be the first week of March, but you can also come and chat over on Substack about it in the Substack chat. So this one is super fun because the heroine is a Cupid and the hero is the Grim Reaper. So he's death himself. And the heroine has to go to a Valentine's Day ball. And she actually tells her ex-boyfriend that she has a date for this ball. So she doesn't. So she has to quickly find somebody that will kind of be her fake date for the event. And in comes Death himself and fills in for the role, which is really fun. I think that just the matchup between a female Cupid and the Grim Reaper, it sounds like so much fun because you have like love and death, a little bit of both. So I think it sounds really fun and really campy, and I can't wait to actually read this one. So that one is on my TBR for this week. And then the next book that I have is another contemporary. So this is another novella. It's Puck Shy by Kayla Gross. So this one is book 2 in the Brother Puckers series. It is a hockey romance. It's also a Valentine's novella, and it's super fun. It starts off at a Valentine's Day masquerade ball. So I guess there's a few of those on this list. And the hero is a hockey star, obviously, and also like a big celebrity. And he meets this woman at the masquerade ball wearing this beautiful red mask. And eventually he realizes who she is. And she is actually his twin brother's partner's sister. So he decides that, he had such a connection and so much chemistry with this woman that he's going to get closer to her and kind of like push that situation to happen. So they end up working together. Of course, she's like, I'm not mixing business with pleasure. And he wants more. And it is just a really fun story. It's also novella, so it's also really short, but it is super spicy. There's plenty of like voyeurism, there's wax play, there's all kinds of fun stories and things there. So if you're looking for a spicy one, this is probably a good choice for that. And I have another spicy one to close out, and it's Electric Idol by Katie Roberts. So this is book 2 in the Dark Olympus series. And these are Katie Roberts' like modern day retellings of Greek mythology. So in this one, we are doing kind of like an Eros and Psyche retelling. So it's loosely inspired by that. And actually, I have another post that I'm going to share with you guys, which is all about Eros and Psyche's retellings, modern day retellings. But this one is kind of fun. If you've read Neon Gods, which is the first book in the series, there's a lot of like the politics aspect of the gods but for mortals. So that's kind of how the series is based. And in this one, Aphrodite, which is Eros's mother, decides that she's gonna send Eros to kill Psyche. And immediately he's like, I'm not doing that. And the only way that he has to save her is to marry her. So it's a really fun take on the myth, but also really spicy. If you know Katie Roberts, she writes really spicy and fun stories. So if you're looking for an erotic romance, then this one is a great one for that. So yeah, that's the recommendations, all like Valentine's themed and perfect for the week.
Yay, those sound awesome. I have to say, the novella, though, The Petty Cupid, sounds
Mhm.
interesting. I know you said it's for the book club. So I'm just like,
Yeah,
oh, I might see if I'll join. That one sounds really fun.
yeah, it sounds fun.
All right. So if
Yeah,
you're
I'm
just joining
loving
us
the
live, welcome,
stuff.
welcome. We've been sharing. Sorry, Laura, I didn't hear you.
I'm loving all the Valentine
Oh,
novellas because they're perfect quick reads to do.
Yeah,
yeah, which is why I think it's a good book club add-on for now. So yeah, I think it's
yeah,
really exciting.
yeah.
Okay, if you're just joining us live, welcome. We are Novel Hour. Okay, if you're wondering why we're going live in the middle of the day, we're having our same bookish show, except now we're gathering at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. New York time. Just do the conversions and join us live. Each week, we'll share a roundup of book recommendations based on a theme. And today's theme was epic love stories. I shared some classics, Laura shared some Hollywood. Francesca shared a mix. So if you're just joining us, you're going to have to go rewind and go back and catch up on the recommendations. Next up is next week. Next week, we're going live and we're going to share some friendship stories. So we're not just focusing on the love of it all, right? Friendships are also very important too. So think of it as the Galentine's edition. We hope you'll join us then. But until then, I think that's it. Follow us on Substack. We each have weekly newsletters. I just sent my Galentine's edition today. I shared some romance books. I shared some pairings of like, hey, here's a good playlist for this book. Here's some snacks. Here's a beverage. Here's a discussion question. That's really, really fun. So you can have your own solo Valentine's fun with that. So head on over to Substack and get the guide. What else is going on? Book list coming tomorrow as well. It has a fun theme. Okay, so I hope you'll again subscribe. Tomorrow's newsletter is free, so you're gonna get a fun book list, and it's gonna be a good time. Fran, what do you have coming up?
We just announced this week the prompts for the first seasonal event of Romanceopoly. So those are available whether you go on YouTube or Substack, you'll be able to find them. The event is going to be February 24th through March 2nd. And all the prompts are listed, but on Friday, that's tomorrow. Yes. Tomorrow, I'm going to be sharing some recommendations for all of those prompts because I know that you guys will probably want to start getting your TBRs ready, especially because there are 6 prompts, but you don't have to read 6 books during that week. You can double and triple up the same book for multiple prompts. So I'm going to try and do that for you guys and give you some options of books that will fit a couple of things so that you can complete the challenge.
Awesome. What's next, Laura?
So I'm gonna do a review of all the non-Western library cards, the ones I tried that I'm not renewing, the ones I renew, the ones I raise their prices. I'm gonna let you know which ones are worth it based on your needs. So if you're cozy or new thriller or a new audiobook reader, I'm just gonna give you the lowdown which ones you should invest. Previously, I posted on the Substack 5 Kindle Limited books that you should read that are hidden gems, not the trend true. So we got a mafia rom-com, we got a couple billionaires set in London, much better. And we got some romantic suspense, which I describe as Lifetime meets Hallmark movie. So
Hey, Awesome. Well, needless to say, again, you can find us on Substack. We recommend each other, so you'll also be able to find all publications easily. But until then, take care, everyone. Replay crew, we'd love to hear from you as well. So share your recommendations of epic love stories in the comments. Oh, I almost forgot to mention Erin. Erin said, thank goodness for headphones at work, because I'm saying we're doing a lunchtime show, whether you work from home or you're in the cubicle, because trust me, I have been there. I was that gal who's like listening with headphones. And then I used to listen to this call-in show. So then I'm running down the corridor when I'm in the queue and it's like my time. And they're like, oh, Victoria from so-and-so. What is your opinion? Like they queue you up. So, like, okay, you are live, ma'am. Time to go. So yes, I was that person who needed the occasional distraction. So thanks, Erin, as always, for participating in the live. Listen, we don't bite. Y'all can join in the chat and comments too. But it's all right. If you're just happy, watching in the bushes, it is fine. But thank you all for being here. And we're looking forward to seeing you all next week when, again, we're going to be sharing some friendship stories. Bye, everyone.
Bye.